It's at the freaking movies with your freaking host, Creationist Cat. Today's freaking movie is Christian Mingle, the movie. Hey SHODOMITES, Lord's chosen cat Shishi here, and Valentine's Day is fast approaching, and what better way to celebrate its majestic splendor than with a feature-length advertisement for some piece of crap website. And no, I'm not talking about freecreditreport.com the movie. That movie kicks ass. I'm talking about Christian Mingle the movie. Now, Shishi fans may recall that I do indeed have a bit of prior experience with this website. You're 56 years old and that's your picture? You're blocked! Reba McEntire's your favorite actress? You're blocked! You're Jewish? Blocked! Screw your hat, you're blocked! You're attractive, financially stable, and have just about everything going for you? You're blocked! Now you I'll put in with my favorites. But hey, the past is the past, and once again, I am Christian, single, and ready to Christian Mingle. The movie. So, anyhow, at the beginning, we're introduced to Gwyneth Hayden, played by Lacey Chabert. Chabert. I'm sorry, I just love saying that name, Chabert. I could say it all day long. Now, you may remember Chabert from Mean Girls, or Party of Five, not to be confused with Five Hardcore Orgy Party on Pornhub. Now, I'm pretty sure that this isn't a Christian film, although it might be because some of the cast members do scream out for Jesus over the course of the movie. Anyhow, fun fact about Lacey Chabert, she's approximately the size of a garden gnome. Yeah, very, very short woman. So, Hayden is unlucky in love. This guy with the big schnoz over here dishes her and totally humiliates her at the beginning of the film. And she proceeds to complain to her annoying married friends, and we learn about her excessively low standards.
I just want to meet a guy who will look at me for 10 seconds and smile.
I'm pretty sure one of those guys from Five Hardcore Orgy Party would be willing to do that. Anyhow, Gwyneth is feeling all pathetic. She goes home, and no less than 6 minutes into this feature-length commercial for ChristianMingle.com, she watches an actual commercial for ChristianMingle.com, which incidentally is a lot more interesting than the movie so far. Then we see her at her advertising job, and she's still all mopey. But hey, this guy's checking out her ass, so come on, she's got options. So we meet her sassy, black, chunky friend with crazy hair, and her boss, and they must have been filming a Wes Anderson film nearby because Jason Schwartzman is clearly on the wrong set right now. And then her boss says revolutionized instead of revolutionized.
You know him as the man who has revolutionized the way modern men live their daily lives.
And later she's home feeling all pathetic again, and she watches yet another commercial for Christian Mingle, if you could believe it. And she finally decides to join, probably hoping that if she does, these freaking ads will stop playing in the middle of her movie. But at first she's like, am I really this pathetic? Nah. You know what? Yeah, I am that pathetic. I'll join. But see, here's the catch. Gwyneth isn't actually a Christian. I guess she's just like cruising for some Christian dick or something. Look, I know that I'm a feline of the Lord, and that's not a very wholesome way to put things, but I don't know how else to say it. She wants some Christian penis all up in her tiny Chabert snizzets. So she fills out her profile, but like I said, she's not a real Christian. She's just tired of dishonest jerks like the guy with the big schnoz, and she thinks that that's where all the nice guys are. So she fills out the questionnaire with a pack of lies because she is a lying, deceiving, deceitful whore and an abomination unto God. And she uses a picture of when she was far more bangable, picks up a copy of Christian for Dummies, which is, I guess, what they're calling the Bible these days, and then she meets Paul Wood, a handsome Christian dude who totally looks like he might have the corpses of numerous neighborhood children buried in his crawl space. So later they go out for sushi, and he makes a face that's pretty much a metaphor for what it's like to watch this movie. And for their third date, she goes to a Bible study at Paul's house, and we're introduced to all these losers. They start reading Romans 7, and I'm sure somebody's going to break out the blow any second now. So then they go out on another date, and they have their first kiss, which doesn't seem nearly as romantic as this one. So anyhow, after that, Gwyneth meets Paul's family, and they go out to eat where they give the Lord thanks for the disgusting hunks of meat they've received. And later, sensing that Gwyneth isn't actually a Christian, Paul's mom confides that she thinks there's just something not quite genuine about Gwyneth. And, she's probably a good judge, considering about 95% of her face is silicone. Anyhow, Chabert is real mad at Paul, because he told her at the last minute that he's leaving for a month to rebuild a small Mexican village. And so she tries to smother herself to death, and she almost dies, but then unfortunately he calls. And he's like, hey, come down to Mexico. And she's like, okay. And she arrives, and at first she thinks this Mexican boy steals her crap, because she's probably racist. And wow, I think if Speedy Gonzalez saw this town, he'd probably say, going a little strong with the Mexican stereotypes there, don't you think? And then this village girl comes out of nowhere and hugs her because she's so happy they're going to help rebuild her village. Or maybe she's just trying to pickpocket her. But by mistake, the next day, she leaves out her Christian for Dummies book, and they have a Bible reading with all of these poor village children, and either this girl resents being indoctrinated, or she really did steal something, one of the two, because that's just a very shifty expression. Yep, Chabert knows what I'm talking about. But later, they finally realize Gwyneth wasn't a real Christian after all, and her lies come crashing down. She was never a Christian at all. And she starts crying, which is strange, because I thought you weren't supposed to get a gremlin wet. And they break up, and she goes home, and she throws her Bible into the trash. The end. Okay, look, I'm lying. There's another half hour of this thing, alright? She wakes up, takes out the Bible out of the trash, and I just bet that Bible is pissed. She ends up at a bike shop, and she watches another commercial for Christian Mingle. And she passes by a dumpy little church, and they're really making miracles happen there because the guitarist isn't hooked up to the amp at all, but you could still totally hear him. And hey, check it out. Ginny and Jones is playing bass in the band, and Stata Daniel and JJ Talks are out of date or something. A lot of very obscure YouTubers attend this church. And pretty soon, she's yelling out,
I want Jesus in my life.
Yay! So now she has a Jesus in her life, and she goes to see Paul, and she meets him at church, and apologizes for lying to him, and tells him she's all into Jesus, and they meet again, and she's all like, look, I love you, I want to be with you, and spend the rest of my life with you, and he's like, fuck you, bitch, you lied, shuck it, and she goes home, and she cries a lot, and feels horrible. The end. Okay, well, as much as that would be an amazing ending, there actually is a little bit more. She feels like total crap, but then she gets this letter.
Dear Señorita, my sorry for my English not so good. I want to say hi and thank you very much for you coming to San Luis, my village. It looks so pretty again.
So I don't really understand how she got her address and why she's even thanking her for sprucing up her fucking village in the first place, because she was only there for like 2 days. And you know what? Maybe she did pickpocket her, because she sounds pretty freaking apologetic.
Sorry again for my English. God bless you, Maria.
So, I shit you not, After this, she decides to quit her job and become a teacher in that Mexican village. And 1 year later, none of the kids have grown at all, probably due to malnourishment, and her class is interrupted by this kid. And why the fuck this kid wasn't in class to begin with, I have no idea. And he tells her to go to the church at once. And what kind of freaking school is this that she could just get up and leave like that? But then she gets to the church, and there's Paul with a cooler haircut than before, and he apologizes for being a big asshole, and they kiss, and this guy has something to jerk off to later, and all the kids come out to hug Paul because rich white people are magic. The end. SHODOMITES, if you haven't already seen it, make sure and check out my Creationist Cat Joins Christian Mingle video. It's been a big favorite among CC fans over the years. I know this jerk face right here, it's his favorite CC vid. So, as always, links to my Patreon and the Lord's Chosen t-shirt are down below in the Christ box. Patrons make these videos possible, people, and any t-shirt from thecreationistcattees.com comes with 5 free CC MP3s and CC dolls, including the brand new Chinese New Year doll. So, like, comment, and subscribe. You don't have to, but if you don't, you're totally blocked!